I don't know, like what is smart?
Oh my gosh. Wow. What is smart?
Maybe we don't think they're smart, but maybe they are really smart,
That's true. They might be smart and we just don't know it.
Mm-hmm.
That's funny though. Dude, I think if you have an animal that's gonna take over the world. Welcome back to the show, Mr. Conrad. How do you say your last name?
Borges.
Borges.
Yeah, like
Borges.
gorgeous with a B.
Well, welcome to Worlds. Thank you for coming.
No,
Thanks for
thank
being
you.
on the show. Conrad, you want to talk about what we're doing and why we're doing it and what your thoughts were about what we're doing?
Oh, okay. Well, he said we can do an activity, and so I wanted to fabric paint.
And so what is your goal? What are you doing with your, let's check it out. What do you got going on with your pants setup?
Yeah, so these are gonna be, these little stripy guys, they're gonna be like rays.
Okay.
Like, I don't know from what, but just rays and then eyeballs on top of them. Because this one time I was tripping shrooms and I saw a bunch of eyeballs everywhere.
Okay.
So I want to recreate that on my pants.
So Conrad Borges.
Mm-hmm.
Where are you from, Conrad?
So I'm actually from Garden Grove.
Garden Grove.
Garden
And what's
Grove,
the nickname
California.
of Garden Grove?
I don't know.
I've heard it's
GG,
I've heard it's Garbage Grove.
Yes, it is a very not wealthy area.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
I think it has a lot of character, It's like a city of immigrants. My classes were probably like 50% Mexican,
Really?
40% Vietnamese, and then like 10% miscellaneous white Pacific
Really?
Islander and stuff like that.
Where did the Vietnamese, like why Vietnamese culture too?
Oh yeah, so okay, don't quote me on this. I think so. Second, like densest Vietnamese population in America or something.
Really?
Because they all immigrated after the Vietnam War.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
And so wait, real quick for people that don't know, where is Garden Grove?
It's right next to Anaheim. It's close to like Disneyland.
In, like,
close to
Orange
Long
County.
Beach.
Yeah.
In Orange County.
Did you have a lot of Vietnamese and Mexican friends?
Yeah.
Or yeah, you did.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, truth. That's cool.
Yeah, it was cool, like it's so many things, obviously like with time, I don't know what the word is, people become more like woke or whatever.
Woke.
But back then, nobody liked pho. Like that wasn't a thing.
Pho? Dude, I'm non-cultured, and so we always called it pho.
Oh god.
Yeah.
Okay, it might
Let's
be
get
pho.
some pho. Because it's
Yeah.
PHO, right?
It is PHO.
That's funny. All right, real quick, progress pics.
Okay. I'm still drawing.
Fire. Dude, yeah, the eyeballs are going to be cool. I love how you planned yours out. I'm just kind of going to town. Shout out Entourage. But that actually looks way cooler with behind the camera than it does in my real life experience.
Okay.
It's all good.
It's usually how it works.
Yes. That's very true. So yeah, you're in Garbage Grove.
I am.
Hanging out. And did you have like a pretty chill high school, like middle school, high school experience, like growing up there?
Yeah.
And did you want to leave? Was it one of those places that you're like, I want to get out of here as soon as I can? Or not as much?
So I mean, kind of like a complicated story, but like I said, my parents were divorced. I was going to school in Garden Grove for elementary and middle school, and I was having a great time, doing good. But then in high school, there was this like dance studio, because I used to be a dancer.
Yeah.
That I really wanted to go to, and it was like in like Corona, and my mom was living in Corona, so then I moved to Corona for high school.
Okay.
Did high school there. Sorry, I feel bad that we're like talking about me so much.
What do you mean? That's what we're here for, dude.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I've kind of like said I always, so funny enough, I say this a lot on the podcast, but a lot of the reason why I started doing this is so I can learn how to listen to people.
Oh.
Because a lot of the time,
It's a wonderful trait.
I get caught not listening and instead waiting for my turn to speak. And there's a difference between hearing someone and listening.
Yeah, definitely.
And I find myself hearing what they're saying, but not actually interpreting it and then like internalizing it. And so this forces me to shut up. At least I try to. And then to shut up and listen. Learn from what people have to say. Because oftentimes it's pretty cool. So you're in Corona, which is like in the desert.
It is in the desert.
Yeah. It's hot.
It was fucking awful.
But you said you enjoyed it and dancing and stuff like that?
Oh yeah, I honestly had like a great high school experience.
And then why dancing? And did you just get into that throughout your childhood? And then did you ever want to pursue it as like a career? Or what was your like goals with that?
Oh jeez. So one day my sister was going to this like dance class, and basically like my stepmom wanted us to come because she was dealing with a lot of kids and she didn't want to like leave me and my brother at home. So she was like, you guys are going to come to this dance class and you're going to take it too. And I took it and I just like had a great time and I loved it.
How old were you?
I must have been like 9 or 10, I think. Yeah, I don't know. Somewhere around there. And then, I just like loved dance. I thought it was so fun. And then I kept dancing all throughout high school. I only stopped when I went to college. And
why did you decide to stop?
I think I like got kind of burned out.
Okay.
Like I was just, it gets rough after a while. I was doing it a lot.
Just because of the demand? Dude, I've heard dancing is just so gnarly. Like I've heard like ballet is just the gnarliest thing.
Yeah, it destroyed my legs.
Really?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, everything cracks and it shouldn't. But yeah, I loved it a lot, but I wasn't passionate about it. Like I was passionate about, I don't know, I guess like social activism.
What you're doing now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I was like, gotta stop, life goes on. But I still dance in clubs.
You do?
I mean, I like
when
to
you like go clubbing. Do you just get like super, like people are just like messing around, but then you just go like super ham on the dance floor? That's kind of dope.
Yeah, I think I've like mastered the art of like looking like you're not trying, but like you really are.
Okay, truth.
Super
That's
sick.
Definitely an art.
Like white girl dancing,
Yeah.
I invented that, actually.
Dude, you know what my dream was?
What?
I wanted to be able to be the guy at the school dance where, like how there's like a dance circle?
Yeah.
I wanted to be the guy who could do like a standing backflip in the dance circle.
Oh my god, that would be so sick.
Because that's like the most like on the drop, like on the beat drop, is do a standing backflip.
Oh yeah.
It's so dope.
That would have been crazy.
That would have been crazy. What kind of dance did you do, by the way?
I mostly did like contemporary ballet, usually.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, it was a lot. It was definitely tiring.
Yeah.
It was really fun though. It's like, super fun exercise, and I don't know. I like dance a lot because it's kind of like at least like competition dance, that like most like girls do in high school and stuff. Mm-hmm. It's like a lot of like tricks and turns and jumps and stuff like that, but mixed in with like style and musicality and stuff like that. I don't know. I think dancing is like, there's a reason that humans are just inclined to move their body when they hear music, and it's beat. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Cool.
Like
when you dance, like you're in the moment, because you have to be. If you're not in the moment, you look like shit. So that's all you have to do.
Then maybe I've just never been in the moment because I'm not a good looking dancer.
You'll get there.
Dude, I'm trying.
It's all about confidence. If you like just dedicate yourself to it and commit, then you're gonna look great.
Okay.
Because dancing is weird in the first place. Like, what?
Dancing is so weird.
It is weird.
I think dancing's a crazy, like it's one thing to like make movies or like do stuff like that as a profession, but dancing is so gnarly because you're an athlete.
Yeah.
But you're like an artistic athlete. Mm-hmm. It's so personal, but also like it's just so trippy. I think that's such a cool, crazy job. You danced, live in Corona, and then you decided. So you said you wanted to get more into the what did you say?
Just like social activism.
Social activism, and when did that desire begin to develop?
Oh, I mean, I felt like it was kind of there throughout all of high school.
Okay.
And sort of like towards, like by like my like junior year, I was like, I love dance, but like, honestly, like I loved it. Was I that great? No. Could I have like done it as a career if I wanted to? No.
Yeah.
And that's okay. But I really wanted to like do something more impactful. Like I'd always been drawn to like social movements, and so that's kind of just like generally what I wanted to do and what I'm still trying to do.
Okay. And so you said you've always been drawn to social movements. Were there any specifically that inspired you?
Yeah, I think like the free speech movement in
Okay.
the 60s was crazy.
Lots of drugs.
Lots of drugs. But you know, like there's a reason that once people do drugs, they're like, wait, we're here to love each other. And
Truth.
there's like a whole revolution after that.
Did you find that? Because earlier you mentioned doing shrooms and stuff like that.
I think I kind of always, my relationship with psychedelics, and I think the way...
What a start to a sentence. My relationship with psychedelics.
Drugs. You know, like, I mean, I don't really regard them as like drugs in the sense that we regard like, you know, coke and like nicotine and like alcohol.
Okay.
I don't.
Interesting.
It's not like that for me.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, it's very like spiritual, and so I think I'd always been on the wavelength of like, you know,
The wavelength.
of just like making life better for everyone, no
Truth.
matter where you come from.
That's a good wavelength. I like that wavelength.
Indeed. I hope that I stay on that.
Yeah.
But then
I think everyone
shrooms
needs
was like,
to be on that
yes.
wavelength. Yeah.
I think everyone is, you know, like at our core, we all are. It's just that ego gets in the way of that over
Interesting.
time.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I'm not like immune to that, you know, obviously.
No one is. Almost
But-
no one. Hopefully there's some people out there. You decided that you wanted to kind of pursue that social, what did you say?
Activism.
Social activism kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And how did you decide, so you went to school and you go to Berkeley,
I did.
and what made you decide that that was the place to pursue that kind of career?
Well, actually, like I mentioned the free speech movement earlier.
Yeah.
Berkeley was like the kickstart of that. Like their students were like, fuck this.
Yeah.
And then they were like protesting, and that's, you know, how Berkeley kind of got its like reputation for being like really like social activist
Mhm.
school. And so that's the reason I wanted to go there. And then I kind of just decided, I'd heard so many times like, oh, you know, we want this for people, and everyone's like, how are you going to pay for that? How are you going to pay for that? So I was like, you know what? I'm going to study
How you're gonna pay for that?
economics, and I'm going to
That's
figure out
hilarious.
how the fuck you pay for it. And it turns out
Yeah.
we have a lot of money.
Really?
Oh yeah,
Truth.
tons of money.
Okay.
We just spend it on
Different things.
different things, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. So when did you so you freshman year you're in Berkeley,
Uh-huh.
and were you like, this is my place, just like off the bat?
No.
Really? Okay. Interesting.
Berkeley had that reputation. I thought it was going to be more like that. It's kind of turned more into like just like a STEM school, which is great.
Yeah. But it's
for
not
those
really
people.
what you're going for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's like very like computer science, data science, like lots of people pursuing stuff like that. That's kind of like what it's turned into. There's still like a ton of people who are similar to me at Berkeley.
And what did you say your major was earlier?
Economics.
Okay, so you're in economics.
Uh-huh.
And how many of so within economics, is it pretty, like, what's the general, like, are people within economics on a similar, I guess you could say, like, quote unquote wavelength as you?
No.
No? Okay.
No, most people aren't.
What are they studying economics for?
I think a lot of people study economics because, you know, like it's like safe, and it's like very interdisciplinary. You can kind of like get a job in like whatever firm, you know.
And what are
if you don't know
what
you're
are their
doing.
goals normally? Like with the people that are like, I'm studying economics.
I think most of the time people don't take the path I do with economics. Mostly it's
Which
like,
is what? How would you define your path within economics?
just like public sector, I
Okay.
guess. Like very like the classes I take are like climate change economics, global inequality economics,
True.
like wage theory, stuff like that. Just public sector stuff.
Yeah.
Most people, I think they're just trying to kind of like business, but like more mathy, you
Okay.
know. That's what they wanted to do.
And so I think, well, economics is about money, right?
Yeah.
So how many people you think are there because that's like a good way for them to ultimately be able to make a lot of money?
Oh my God, most of them.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
definitely.
interesting.
And that's what kind of like
Turns you off about it?
Yeah, not to talk shit on them, but economics is like so much more than what people perceive it as. People associate it with business economics, and it can be, and I think a lot of the time it is, but it's also like, for me, it's the study of like resource allocation, like how we
Ports.
ports, literally
Ports. That's funny.
It's like
Ports.
Yeah, let's go look at the ports.
We should have gone to a port. And done
We
this.
shouldn't have.
So, have you been to a port?
I have been, yeah, to like
Interesting.
the Long Beach port.
What if you end up like working on a ship?
Then you should kill me. But
Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, resource allocation.
Yeah.
And what are like forms of that?
So, I mean, also, economics is not just like capitalist market economics. There's like, various types of economies. Like
Keynesian economics.
Keynesian, yeah, that's like a subdivision within like capitalist economics,
Okay.
I guess.
I just knew that. I don't know what that means, but I learned it at some point and I forgot about it.
Honestly,
so I said it to sound smart.
I don't know what it means either. Like, I couldn't tell you.
But you're
if
the
I
economics
wanted to.
major, dude. Come on.
Yeah, I don't memorize the stupid models. They never work. I'm like, in one ear, out the other.
Yeah, interesting.
But like socialist economies, communist economies, different types of economies.
Okay.
So I like it because it's like figuring out how you want to give people shit.
Yeah.
Who gets what shit and why. And like there's dilemmas, like say there's like a hurricane and nobody has drinking water.
Not
If
good.
you're going to let the markets determine that, then prices are going to increase dramatically. And so if you have a lot of money, then you can buy all the drinking water. And if you don't, then you don't get
You're not
water.
gonna have a good day.
Exactly.
That was like I remember there was the thing where it was like some airlines were increasing flights out of places when there were natural disasters coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like and then didn't they ban that or something because
God, I
it was
hope
just
so.
like it was just messed up.
I mean, that should be banned.
Yeah.
That's like price gouging,
Dude, I don't like price gouging. I
No.
get price gouged every time I go to get my truck fixed, and it's really annoying.
Oh, definitely.
But that's my fault because I need to take more time in figuring out what's wrong. Like like all right, when you go get your car fixed and they'll like be like, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. How much are you like, I know what that is, I know what that is, I know what that is.
I don't know any of that.
Yeah.
That's when I call my dad.
And so I don't really know a lot about it either, and I feel like I needed to just be more responsible and take the time to figure out what the things that are wrong, so then you don't get ripped off, or my parents, because my parents pay for my truck,
Yeah,
which I'm
definitely.
very thankful for, but I need to take more time to do that.
That's okay. Happens to the best of us.
Yes.
At least you know simple things about a car.
But it sucks because I can tell, like when I'm there and the guy's just like chatting me up and I'm like, dude, what are we doing here?
Yeah, for real.
Can you stop, please?
I
Stop this
mean,
act and just be straight up with me.
I'm
I'd rather
surprised
have
because you
that.
seem like someone, like, I feel like if I was trying to, like, pull a fast one, I would not try on you.
Why?
Because you look like you would, like, know cars.
I don't though.
You do, though.
I kind of, not really, no. Like my dad grew up, like his dad or his stepdad was like a mechanic and he like worked on cars, so he knows cars. But I do not really know cars. I know cameras and stuff like that.
Microphones.
But yes, microphones and different editing software. That's what I know.
That's crazy. That's so cool.
But I mean, everyone has their thing, I love gear too. Like I know skis.
Gear?
And, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Dude, we come from such different worlds.
Yeah, we really
it's so
do.
funny. You're like, how far is a marathon? And I was like, wow. And that's completely
Okay,
fine.
I knew ballpark. I was like 25 maybe, but I wanted to make sure.
Oh my gosh, dude, yeah, like people came to my elementary school and they tell you how to like survive in the backcountry. That's like what happened in my town. Yeah.
You would get along with my stepbrother. He's very into like survival. Like he has a survival backpack that he keeps on him at all times.
Yeah.
Which is great. just like not that fashionable.
It's not fashionable. Dude, I have that too. Where's my survival backpack? So I keep like a bunch of useful stuff in this thing and I bring it everywhere.
Whoa.
And it's super
that's
useful.
Pretty handy.
It's a sling.
Yeah, that's like, you know.
And it's Patagonia, so it goes along
kind of
with my fashion. So I'm into like some of that stuff and I'm getting more into it. And when I get more money, then I'll be able to, when I make more money, then I'll be able to get more into it. But until then. But anyway, what were we even talking about? Keynesian economics.
Oh yeah, for a moment there.
Yeah, for a sec.
But
Oh yeah, no, working on cars.
working on cars.
Yeah, and getting ripped off by people.
Yeah.
But it's their job, so I
It is
can't
their
blame the
job.
guy. So you're a junior, and what have you learned throughout your time at Berkeley? As far as like, do you feel like you've learned things that have contributed to what you want to end up doing?
Yeah, I think so. Geez. I mean, obviously I've learned a lot, like, in the classroom and whatnot, but I think what Berkeley really taught me, Berkeley is like a very, it attracts like a certain type of person.
Which is
Anxious.
interesting. Why do you say that it attracts anxious people?
I think it's, you know, sort of a lot of people who just like did really well in high school and kind of like play by the book, do what they needed to do so that they could like go to a good college, so that they could have a good career, so that they could have money, so that they could have their family, so they can make their like kids
Go
do the
through
same thing.
go through the good old circuit
Yeah, exactly.
that America is a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Which is
and-
fine, by the way.
Yeah, no, there's
No
like
shame.
nothing wrong with that, but I think with like the Berkeley kids, it's just a lot of like it's very like competitive and they feel like they need to like figure everything out and have it all planned out. If you don't, then like you're a failure. And so it's not my vibe because I just want to like, you know, do yoga.
What a quote. I wanna make that the title.
You should.
I just wanna, you know, do yoga. That's
you.
funny. Okay. Dude, you should become like go to yoga and become a Costa Rica instructor.
Okay, I've literally been thinking about that.
No, yeah, go to Costa Rica and become a I know a girl from my hometown that did that. Or she went to like
Really?
Puerto Rico or something.
And now she's just like a yoga instructor.
She
there?
was. I don't know where she is now. She might have just done that for a summer. But I
Okay.
think it's hilarious the amount of people that like go to Costa Rica and just say, fuck it.
Dude.
And just like go live some life there.
It like has an influence on people. I've heard great things about Costa Rica.
About Costa Rica? Truth.
Yeah.
Truth.
Have you been?
I have been actually.
Whoa.
I went surfing there.
Oh my gosh,
It
that's
was
crazy.
sick with all my high school buddies.
Are you still close to all of them?
Yeah. I'm close to a couple. Like I talk to them like every week. And then others I see them whenever I go home.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, check that out. Smiley face.
Oh, that's pretty
Let's go.
smart.
I see them, yeah, like whenever I go home. But it's not like we're not as close. It's just like you kind of go and like live life, you know,
Yeah.
in different places.
Yeah,
but-
crazy that you came all the way out to
Dude, I
Chapel.
know. It's been cool though. I've changed like I've not changed a lot, but I've gained a broader perspective. I'll say that. And my world has changed a lot because in Steamboat it was just like, what activity are we doing now?
Yeah.
And just like, which is freaking amazing and such a privileged life. Like, it was crazy. But here is more of definitely like a lot more work, I guess you could say. And I'm not even really work. Like I barely work, but I call it work to make myself feel better. Like this is
Swear.
work.
This is work, this podcast?
It's not
Okay.
work. I want it to become hopefully like one of the things I do.
Yeah.
And then like ultimately it would be cool to make money, just like make money to put back into it so I can continue doing it.
I
you
see
know?
what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like when I like edit this and do stuff like that, it's like it is work because it's definitely like not easy to like do this as often as I do, and it takes a lot of time. But it's so fun and I get so much out of it that it doesn't feel like it. And then even like the work that I get to go do, I'll shut up. I need to stop talking about myself. But
No, dude, say what you need to say. I asked you.
yeah. But though I'm lucky enough that right now the work that I get to go do, like going to get paid to go do work,
Yeah.
is like just a blast.
That's so sick.
And I love the people I work with, and I learn so much from all of them whenever I get to go do it, and it's such a blessing.
What are like the projects you're doing?
I get to go work for like film documentaries and stuff for
Whoa.
different companies, which
That's
is
so sick.
super fun.
I love documentaries.
And they like fly me out places.
Oh my god.
And like pay for, I mean, obviously they pay for your food, but to me that's like super cool when I'm like, I don't need to worry about buying groceries or going to get food.
Yeah, dude.
That's
something.
So I like that. And yeah, so I'm pretty psyched on that. But no, I get the whole thing, like, yeah, like live your life. I fall victim a lot to the, you know how it said, like everything has to be planned and you have to know exactly what you're gonna, like, I'm pretty bad about that. And I a lot of the time I'm very forward, like, what's next, what's the future.
Yeah.
And it's hard for me to focus on the present, so
Yeah.
I admire that you
Exactly.
can have that mentality.
That's
Is that
like,
white?
That's white, yeah. Do you need more?
Yes, please.
Okay.
But what were you saying?
Yeah, that's like, I guess that's my, that's why Berkeley didn't turn out what I
True.
thought it would be. Is I want everyone there to relax a little more and just have more fun. Enjoy your life, you know? Like, all you get is the present moment.
True.
Forever.
Yeah. When I asked you to do this podcast,
Uh-huh.
what were you thinking that you wanted to talk about? What did you want to say to people, and what did you want to voice? What did you want to talk about?
Honestly, I didn't really have anything exactly
Okay.
in mind.
True. I think that's a good, I want to start asking people that question, because it's pretty rare that people sit down and just like talk for an hour and a half or however long you talk
Yeah.
and just like get to talk about stuff. So it's cool to hear like what do you wanna, like what are you interested in, like having people hear?
Yeah, I
and
mean,
stuff like that.
you mentioned that you kind of want to talk about like politics and economics and stuff, and I
Mhm.
guess, I mean, I feel like I'm always screaming it from the rooftops. I guess what I want to say is like, you know, there's like another option to
Yeah.
the economy we have. There's lots of great people out there who study economics and want like a sustainable, equitable future.
Yeah.
And so don't let what everybody says about that field of study make you think that, you know, that environment and economics are like totally against each other, because they're not. You need the environment to have the economy, you
Mhm.
know? We can do great things, and we have before. So that's what I have to say.
Truth. Well, how have you
vote
developed
blue.
your how have you developed your viewpoint? And so
This
I
just
so I
looks
mentioned
terrible.
it's this like gray.
Yeah.
But so basically I mentioned to Conrad, because we have different political views in some respects,
Mhm.
but I realized I'm like, I don't want to like, because number one, that's what you study and I'm just an idiot.
No.
Number two, I don't feel like I know enough about the whatever I'm talking about to like have a conversation about it, and I'm more just interested in hearing about you, like you and your story.
Mhm.
But I think it is good to have like those conversations. So I guess what I will ask is like what's the viewpoint that you've developed through your study, and how through the studies, like what was the like your dream world, I guess, for the world, because
Whoa.
you're a social activist.
Mhm.
And so you want to leave school and be a social activist, right?
Yeah.
And so then, well, at some point, probably.
I want to do something.
Yeah,
you know?
something. So what is the something, and where would you begin upon enacting whatever you believe your view is for the world? And how would you go about doing that? That's a deep question.
That is.
But go.
That's like something I should probably know.
And it's okay if you don't.
I don't.
Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, it's kind of always changing, exactly, you know, what I want to do, how I want to do it. But I guess I think we all see that we're kind of at this like turning point in history where we're like approaching climate catastrophe.
It's like 7 years, right? 6,
Oh,
7
God.
that we have like left before we turn around the. Have you heard about that?
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
It's basically like, for people who don't know, and it's cool. There in New York, I think there's this like clock on a building,
Yeah.
and it's like the years days, hours, minutes, seconds until we are like irreversibly turning back like the climate crisis.
Yeah.
And so yeah, anyway, continue. It's cool, you should check it out. But.
I guess, you know, with that in mind, what I've like kind of concluded is that this like business as usual that we're doing is clearly not working, and I think it's entirely possible and entirely necessary that we work towards a sustainable future, you know, and a future that works for everyone. Mm-hmm. Like, we have this opportunity. Yeah, climate change is like a whole fucking shit show that we have to deal with, but also it's an opportunity to deal with so many issues and truly like make a future for humans and animals that is better, you know? So I don't know how exactly I'm gonna do that.
That's the thing.
Other than like total revolution. I'm just kidding. But
are you intrigued in that though?
Revolution?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, of course. But it just, I don't think violence is ever really the answer.
Okay.
So.
What makes you like intrigued about that being a solution?
Revolution?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess that's like a loose term. I just think it's crazy, you know, like how often in history people were like, fuck this. Like,
yeah, no.
I'm gonna
well,
go
that's how
kill your
America
king.
that's how America like was started.
Yeah.
It was literally that. A bunch of people were like, fuck you. And they started doing their own thing.
And yeah, sometimes it has to happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'm like a pacifist, which basically means
that? Yeah, there you go.
That you know, obviously I want to change a lot of things, but I think we can do that in a way where you don't have to
burn it all down.
Exactly, where you don't have to hurt people. So
I agree.
Something along the lines of that. I just, you know, I guess like I don't know if I'm gonna keep doing stuff with like my econ degree, but I want to work somewhere in making like a system that works, but it works for everybody, not just for the rich. And you don't get to not pay your taxes, and you don't get to pollute the earth and lie about it for years and just get off scot-free.
Yeah.
You know? So
what is that how would you like, well, I guess that I can't say how because you said you don't know how. But like what
policies?
Yeah. Thank you. Maybe you should just make the questions and answer them because I don't know anything.
No,
I don't know what I'm talking about.
I get your vibe.
Yeah. Thank you for getting my vibe.
So the main policy, at least I only really know like the U.S., is repealing Citizens United. Citizens United was like passed by the Supreme Court in like the 80s, I think. And it basically says that corporations are people. It's not great. So I want to repeal that so that basically we eliminate lobbying and you can no longer hush-hush pay our representatives for your interests. Like, for example, a lot of what I study is taxes, and the super rich can pay for representatives to go in and change tax policy so that they don't pay taxes, or they pay like significantly less taxes. And then those representatives can go become lobbyists. After creating tax policy, they can go and work in the private sector to help corporations exploit the policy that they made, which is like not okay. Fuck you, you can't, sorry, I have like, I cuss like a sailor. You can't do that, you don't get to, you know, represent Americans and then go work for the private sector to help make rich men richer. It's just that the rich have a really strong hold on our political system and thus our economic system too.
True.
That we need to deal with. And I think Citizens United is at the root of that.
Okay.
Also at the root of that is just like income and wealth inequality generally, And I think there's something to say for like, sorry, I'm like popping off. There's something to
go
say
off.
for
This
like,
is, I'm interested because like I have different views, but it's always like and what's cool, what I think is super cool is how people can like sit down and just like listen. Like that's so rare.
yeah,
Like people don't
definitely.
do that. People are just
Yeah.
like fuck you.
Yeah, sorry, and I know it's like a very it's a hot topic.
No, but
so-
I mean, you study like I'm interested in what you found through your studies and stuff like that. So go off, sir. you have the floor. The floor is yours.
yeah.
Go off.
As I was saying, income and
Back to
wealth
politics.
inequality is, I swear to God, I like can never shut the fuck up.
Well,
about
I mean,
taxes.
it's what you're studying.
Yeah.
So I think that it's good that you don't shut the fuck up. I mean, well, some circumstances it may be better.
Yeah.
But I think that it's good that you're so passionate about it. Like you can hear when people speak. Like I mean, like I've heard other people talk about things and they're very passionate about it, and it's super. It makes me want to listen. People like, and it's interesting.
Yeah, it's great.
So go off. I'm very intrigued. So continue, sir.
Yeah, so basically what's happened is that our tax policy, American tax policy, has sort of like collapsed in that the overall tax burden, which is not to be mistaken with like just like federal income tax. I know it sounds complicated, but if
It
we're
does
talking
sound
about
complicated.
so like the amount in taxes you're paying proportional to your income. So like the tax rate, like, you know, whatever your income is, you're paying
You take a percentage.
a percentage of it.
Yeah.
Our tax policy used to be the most progressive in the world, which means that the richer you get, the higher tax rate you pay. But what's happened now is we basically have a flat tax where when you get to the very rich, like the 1% and on to the like 100th percentile, they pay less and less and less. So billionaires literally pay less in taxes than everyone else, like by policy. That is not a mistake. It's not evasion. It's by policy. Not to mention, they're also evading taxes and offshoring their money in places like Malta.
And so do you
our
read
money.
this? Do you read this in like books and stuff? Like how much of it is
It's
like
mostly like studies.
okay, like
Yeah.
projects and stuff?
Yeah,
Okay.
I guess like literature reviews, and there's this professor, well, there's a lot of professors who
There
have
are,
talked
I
about
bet.
this to me, but there's this professor, his name is Emmanuel Sayas. He's absolutely wonderful. I love that man. And he has like done a ton of work basically figuring out who pays what over the course of history and
Okay.
taxes. And that's what his research has figured out. And he was, him and another economist, Gabriel Zuckman, proposed the wealth tax that Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders wanted to do when they were running. So yeah, that's where it's from. But yeah, it's crazy. You know, I just, everyone needs to pay their fair share. We're in this together, and we need everyone's money to help solve things like climate change.
True.
You know, so that's what I have to say about that.
And so what's interesting is that so I'm in film, and it's not a very like politically charged like atmosphere when you're in a film class, and whenever there is politics, the professors, it's kind of funny, they're very like, okay, if anyone like there's gonna be a political thing, and like people beware about it, and like no one get angry. But in your classes, what you're like learning is inherently political.
Oh yeah.
And people have different political views than probably the professors teaching them certain things.
Yeah.
So how do people go about doing that? And are like do you have professors that have different political views from you, and can you separate your personal views to like still learn things from them?
Yeah,
Or how does that
definitely.
kind of work?
So, I mean, something that I love about econ is that, at least with what I'm studying in econ, I'm kind of studying like,
I'm just going to check
Whoa.
the camera. Keep talking.
okay, kind of studying like, you know, a lot of political issues, but it's all based in data. So I
Stemming
think
from where exactly? Boom.
like
Sun.
everywhere.
Dope.
Just like
Wow, that's kind of cool.
all universities, whatever they're publishing, whatever they're reviewing.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's a whole thing about data and where you get that from and how they're collecting it and whatnot. But that's why you have literature reviews and peer reviews. So basically, yeah, you want to look at like what everybody has done, what everyone has published, and then go from there. And so I think there's like two forms of analysis. The first is like positive analysis, which means like just the numbers, like how much, I don't know, example, like what is the income of the like top tax bracket? What happened?
I wore new clothes to this thing, and now there's paint all over my new clothes.
Oh.
So I'm just not smart. So I'll shut up, but continue.
Oh no.
It's all good.
You can just paint
It's
that
trendy.
too.
It's trendy.
It is trendy.
It's all good.
So there's basically like a foundation that I think everyone can agree on.
Yeah.
Like something simple, like the top marginal income tax rate is 37%. You can't disagree with that. I don't know if it's still that because Biden's here and he might have done something.
B-Daddy.
B-Daddy is out here.
B-Daddy. I haven't heard that one yet.
I just coined it.
You coined it? Wow, there you go.
Copyright.
That's
sorry.
funny. B-Daddy.
And so, there's like some basis where you can't really like argue with it. But then there's like normative analysis, which is like ethical questions. Like, what do you think? How do you think things should be?
Yeah.
And that's more up in the air. And so that's where the disagreements come from. But I think something that econ has that political science doesn't really have is that like basis and numbers and data. And obviously you shouldn't just be relying on one researcher, on one study, even on one university. You should be looking at, across the board what's happening in the world. But yeah, I've disagreed with, oh my God, so many of my classmates. There's definitely debate all the time.
But that makes it better though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, typically my professors are pretty left-leaning.
Just because you're in Berkeley.
So.
Are there any any right-leaning professors to that kind of balance? Okay, cool. So there's like a balance.
Oh yeah, man.
That's good. Yeah.
And yeah, they be talking.
They do be talking.
But
it do be like that.
It do. But yeah, a lot of my peers in my major are like conservative, which is very common in econ.
Okay.
So.
Why do you say very common in econ? Just because like capitalist, like kind of.
I think it's just because a lot of frat boys major in econ, honestly.
Okay, interesting.
And a lot of frat boys come from like similar, rich, white, wealthy backgrounds, and that tends to lean conservative.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the reason. But,
true.
Yeah. There's a lot, I'm like speaking on my ass right now, but there's a lot of topics that I just don't know anything about.
Yeah.
Honestly, the only thing I would say I'm like semi well versed in, given that I'm literally a third year in my undergrad, so obviously, I'm not doing anything crazy, is like tax policy.
What you just talked about.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that's good then.
So that's why I can pop off on that.
Yeah, okay.
But it's all up for debate,
Yeah, I know. That's the beauty of it. You said you wanted to ask me something?
Oh, yeah. So, well, kind of just, talk about documentaries. I've noticed kind of, merging our two interests.
Truth.
That, like, documentaries are super influential politically. Like, people watch a documentary and they're like, suddenly I'm a socialist. So,
which documentary?
no, I mean that was an example.
Yeah.
But there's the one with like
That's funny.
AOC and the other Justice girlies. That was great, and I know that like changed a lot of people's perspectives.
Is AOC the what's her name?
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
She's the like yeah.
She's like
people will not
famous.
know who that is. Do you want to say who that is real quick?
Oh, okay. So yeah.
Some people may not know who that is.
She represents like New York's something district. She's a congresswoman in the House, and she's very, very young. I think she's only like 29, or like maybe she just turned 30.
That's
or
crazy.
something. And yeah, she's a social democrat, very progressive, and she just really like made I guess like social democratic policies a lot more mainstream and kind of opened the doors for a lot more progressives in Congress.
True.
So that's her legacy, and she's also just a baddie, and she has funny clips and stuff.
But I read Obama's book, and he was talking about how his use of social media, even just like back then,
Yeah.
like how much that helped out his campaign with young people. And now it's obvious nowadays that that's a thing, but before that wasn't as much. So
Yeah.
it's pretty cool.
Yeah, dude. Okay, so off topic, but I read this book
Wow, really?
called
No one
Once
does
Upon
that
a Time, called Mindfuck.
Called Mindfuck?
Called Mindfuck by
True.
Christopher Wiley.
Okay.
And it's about a lot of stuff. It's about like Brexit and the 2016 election and data science. And what all these data scientists did that worked on campaigns and how they like drastically influenced these elections just by getting data from Facebook. So that's why, Mark Zuckerberg,
Zuck.
he had to like come in to that hearing and act like a robot, I guess.
Dude, that hearing is crazy.
That was because of that.
Oh my gosh, for those who haven't seen, there's this hearing, and basically all of these people that don't know what they're talking about are asking one of the most influential people in the world about Facebook. What were the things that they were asking him? It was like how do you find some? It was like stupid things you could literally look up, and it's hilarious. You should look up the thing, and then the Zuckerberg. He's just like I don't know what you really mean by that.
Yeah.
And it's in a way, I guess it seems like, I mean, he might have just been deflecting, so he's not actually answering the questions. But a lot of it I felt like was just the incompetence of a lot of the people asking questions, which is really bad, because he is definitely someone where we need some 20-some-year-old person who really gets what he's doing to ask him those questions, because there are some crazy that guy's in another planet.
Literally.
It's insane. Yeah. The Zuck has some influence, you could say.
Oh my god. I mean, it's unimaginable.
Yeah. But real quick, are you socialist? How would you define your political? And then we'll go back to the doc thing.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to make that clear.
I'm democratic socialist.
Okay.
So, I mean, I believe in a mixed economy, capitalist and socialist, which is what we have, but I want more mixed. And by that, I mean advocating for so-called socialist policies like universal health care, universal child care, basic needs being met, like housing, stuff like that. So I guess I just...
UBI.
Well, I don't know about UBI.
UBI is universal basic income.
I haven't really looked into that too much, honestly.
Sure.
But yeah, so democratic socialist.
Okay, cool.
So I guess just, sort of well-being economies is what they call it, kind of like the Scandinavian countries, where they have a big welfare state and they help their people afford things like education and whatnot.
Yeah, got it. Gotcha. Anyway, documentaries.
Yes. Oh, so I was, I've been thinking, and this is pretty far-fetched.
You do be thinking.
Sometimes. Is a documentary where people go around to a bunch of countries and just interview politicians and policymakers and, I don't know, fucking farmers and shit, and ask them, like, what do you think about your country and this policy that just happened, so that people can kind of understand like international politics more and see what other countries are doing and if it works for them and why it works for them and stuff like that. I think that'd be super interesting.
Yeah, that is a good idea. I think, yeah, because I think we saw a little bit of that during the coronavirus, because different countries were handling it differently. Like Sweden was like, fuck it.
Literally.
Yeah, and they're like, and we're going to see how this works out. Let's see what happens. But yeah, no, I think that is pretty interesting. Because you look at like different, and a lot of the time like people don't look at, like they look at some countries and then they see the pros but not necessarily the cons associated.
Definitely.
So even with like the States, there's pros and cons, and then like Canada,
Scandinavian countries,
yeah,
pros and cons.
See, like, well, I've heard like tons of pros about Scandinavia, but I haven't heard the cons, and I'm interested in that.
Yeah, I am too.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a good idea. Someone should do that. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not that politically like, well, it's weird. I'm politically, like, I definitely like climate change, that whole stuff, but I don't think that's like my, like, future. I'm more, I don't know. Not that I care more. Well, it's weird because like I love people and I'm more interested in like people, I guess.
That's okay.
But in politics is people, just on a large scale, essentially. So maybe that is, who knows. But what are you, so like where do you think you'll go with, and I know that you don't really have a plan and stuff like that, but where do you see yourself kind of going with what you do? Like, is it like run for not necessarily the presidency, but like something of the sort, or like where do you see that going?
I try not to like I've said, don't really know.
Yeah, true.
But I think just like loosely, I just want to be impactful, or like try my best to like, do what I can, as long as I feel like purposeful. So it doesn't even have to be like politics for me. I mean, I'd love to try my hand at like DC and that whole world, and like policy making.
True.
But also like, something like starting a like sustainable fashion company, something like that would be like crazy and cool. Yeah. So yeah, I want to let life take me where it's going to take me, because my interests change like the wind.
That's cool though.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, dude, for sure.
What do you like see?
I'm honestly similar, as like my interests change like the wind also. I'm a weird mix. I like making films, but I also like the informality and the spontaneity and the lack of not commitment. Like I can text you and be like, yo, we should do a podcast. Yeah. And I can just set up my camera on a tripod and we just talk for like an hour and a half. I love that. And I think that what gets lost in a weird way, documentaries are great because it's quality over quantity, which I think I'd rather have quality over quantity. In like media, I think there's too much quantity over quality now. Yeah. But there is something to be said about quantity over quality, as far as being able to like these are high quality, but it's not like I'm like doing all the lighting and everything is super set up and stuff like that, like a doc is. Yeah. It's more like spontaneous. Yeah. But there is something to be said about me being able to, like, I talk to random people every day in like a minute-long clip, and then also I can have hour-long conversations with people like this, and so you can get more perspectives rather than like, it's like, imagine becoming close friends with someone and learning like super like deep stuff about them versus meeting a bunch of people over like an hour. Yeah. It's like there's pros and cons to both. But that's like what I like about
going to a party or like having coffee.
Exactly. So I think I like the balance of both, and in the future I want to do both. I want to be like working on, like right now I'm working on longer projects, and also doing this in the gaps. So yeah.
When did you start this podcast?
The podcast, well, oh my gosh. It started with just audio, and it was literally like over Zoom, same as that, but it was just numbers and no descriptions, no names, no nothing. So
numbers? What do you mean?
So it would be like podcast. It's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So then it would force people to like have to open their mind and click on one and see who it is.
Yeah.
So it removes the like, I want to listen to this person or this person, because what I get stuck in a lot of the time, and it's a good idea in some respects, but what I get stuck in is I listen to what I want all the time.
Yeah, me too.
It's like, so if you're only filling your brain with things that you want to hear, that are portraying to your beliefs and your all of that stuff, I think that can be not as beneficial. I mean, it's good, but it's also good to get different perspectives from people, like me sitting down with you, because I think that we get too stuck in our own little bubble of people and interaction, and we need to explore more.
Yeah.
So I liked that idea, but then I wasn't doing the people that I had on justice, because I'm not even like putting their name in the thing.
Yeah, I guess
and so then they're like, oh, like how am I benefiting from this besides it just being what it is? Which is like on a commercial scale, and the way that the podcast industry works, it's not really sustainable. And I also just like felt bad. I'm like, this guy's like taking the time, and I'm not even putting his name in it, so people can't even look up his name and then like listen to this thing about it. And so I stopped doing that. There's pros and cons, like I said, but I stopped doing that. Oh, more in pain. It's whatever. I stopped doing that, and then I started doing audio, but with names and stuff. And then I was like, well, and then I would just put like the Zoom. It would literally be like it was so bad. It would be on Zoom with 2 like little boxes, and you're basically just like watching a Zoom call of 2 people talking. And that's like all great and dandy, but it's pretty boring considering we're in Zooms too much all the time anyway. So I'm like, okay, well, I want to do a video that's in person or interesting, but I'm like, so many people already do the same old like sitting down with 2 mics at a desk in a sound like room, and I'm like, well, what do I want to do? I'm like, something. So then here I am doing something. So
you've like skied with people?
I actually haven't done a skiing one yet.
Oh.
I'm going to. I did one where, you know what a Land Rover Defender is? Okay, it's basically, it's one of my favorite cars. It's a cool car.
Oh, okay.
And we put a camera on the front of it and then faced it into the windshield. And then that was like the podcast.
Oh, okay.
And then we talked, and then I did another one while fishing, which was pretty cool. And then I'm doing this. I did collaging with Jara. Yeah, that was sick. And yeah, so a big variety, and I've had a variety of guests on too. So yeah, it's been dope.
Was there anyone else that I know that you had on?
Do you know Jara?
Sounds familiar.
Okay,
Is
you might know her.
she,
She's in Carpinteria.
Oh, yes, I know.
Yeah,
I know
she's super cool. Who else? I mean, I had Juliet on, and we talked about running 50 miles, which was fun. Yeah. Dude, I've done like 30 of them now, so I don't even know. There's so many. Yeah.
Wow.
It's crazy that I've done that many. Yeah. But I like to like have something to do. It keeps me sane.
Yeah.
I was just thinking, like, if I like just went home and did nothing, then I would go crazy.
Yeah.
So, and I still do that a lot, but
yeah, I do that like it's my job.
Yeah, it's all good, dude. But yeah, did you have anything else you wanted to talk about or say, or? No,
it's just, peace and love.
Peace and love.
Try shrooms if you want to.
Do you want to talk about shrooms?
I mean, sure.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm pretty intrigued in that.
Okay.
So what you want to talk about when you first did shrooms and psychedelics?
Whoa. Sure. I'll talk about my first trip. I want to say I'm not, like trying to push drugs. Be safe. Make sure you're in a comfortable setting with like people you're comfortable with. Do everything you need to do to make yourself feel safe if this is something you want to do, because I think it's really rewarding. The first time I did it, I was not super safe, but I did it with my sister and our mutual friends in Yosemite. It wasn't well thought out at all. I was like, I want to try that.
You want mushrooms on your pizza? Sure. What kind of mushrooms are they? I don't know.
Psychedelic.
That's funny.
I'd heard great things about it though. People saying that they'd become like much more empathetic, or they like resolved like deep issues they had, stuff like that. So that's the reason I did it.
So you were like, that's it, that's all I need.
Yeah.
And then fully sent it.
Yeah, and I've had other trips where I've like figured out things, but that trip was kind of just like for funsies, and like I saw like it was like everything was like as if my eyes improved, like I could see more, I could focus on the details of everything, which was crazy.
Okay.
So
I've never done shrooms, so I don't, it's hard for me to like
yeah,
visualize that. That's what I've heard too from people talking about doing psychedelics with people who haven't. It's like hard to describe.
it's really hard to describe. Yeah. But
Truth. So then you did it once, and were you like, okay, cool, this is going to be a big part of my life? Or like, what was the reaction after that? And then how do you use it? Because people talk about using it, it's like a tool almost, rather than just like when you do coke, it's not like, I'm using this to like think. It's like, I want to go fucking crazy.
Yeah,
like,
literally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was just like pleasantly surprised. Like I was like, whoa, it felt like this whole like the fact that my brain could do that, and you don't feel like debilitated, you feel like more in yourself and more in the moment almost.
Okay.
And I just like being that much in the moment made me realize like that I need to do that for my whole life, you know. That like that's well not
Our battery died, so we're and the battery didn't die. The card filled and I messed up. So we're gonna end. We already ended the conversation. We're gonna re-end the conversation, and it was great. Conrad had a great ending, but
yeah.
we were talking about. I think I said cocaine's crazy, and then what did you say?
I think I was just trying to make the point that shrooms is not like coke. Like it's not like debilitating. I think it's more like spiritual, bringing you into the moment, making you more zen, like hyper fast meditation. Like skip the meditation, just do shrooms. But I mean, we shouldn't do that, but like that's kind of what it does.
Yeah, true. So yeah, when do you think people should go from, because I think people think that shrooms, and I can't speak on this because I've never done shrooms, but like maybe they have internal issues that they want to deal with, but instead of like going to therapy or like meditating or talking to other people, they go straight to the shrooms.
Yeah.
Is that a bad thing? Or in your experience, has it like been fine to do that?
Oh man, that's tough. Honestly,
Because it's very personal too. It's like per person.
I think it sort of depends, like, you know, how deep it is, whatever they're dealing with. I think, I mean, I don't advocate for that. I think, you know, we have this like booming industry for psychedelic therapy where you do psychedelics with like a clinical therapist and they help you through that. So the psychedelics kind of open you up and allow you to like deal with your trauma. So I think that's probably the avenue for that. However, you know, there is gray area. I'm not gonna lie. I've like done that, like been like, oh, I want to confront this thing, this traumatic experience, and then like done shrooms, and it has helped me.
Okay.
But there's obviously risk involved in that, so that's why I don't advertise that.
Okay, true. So people need to make their own decision as far as going about doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like generally, people at least for the first time, you should be in a good mindset, like, you know, on the upswing of your life, feeling like you're doing well, feeling purposeful with people that you're comfortable with in a safe environment.
Cool.
Yeah.
True. And then there was a book you mentioned too, that you recommended people read if they're interested in going down that whole route.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It's called How to Change Your Mind by Michael Pollan, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's a great like intro to psychedelics. So
cool. And it's interesting too, because that's definitely going to become a more prominent thing in our future.
Yeah,
is
for
like
sure.
the amount of people doing that and stuff within therapy in like legal ways too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Canada
Yeah.
is already popping off with it.
And then it got legalized in Oregon, right?
Yeah.
Or decriminalized, one of the two.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think it's decriminalized in California too.
Really?
Maybe.
Okay. I don't know.
Recently.
Yeah, I have no idea. But and then I asked you also what how much did shrooms kind of open your mind to maybe like a different viewpoint of what you want for the world through the social social change that you want to what were you saying, social something?
Like, yeah, how does social activism
sort of activism
I think
how do those two correlate?
Yeah it's all a mix in my brain.
Okay, yeah.
I think shrooms and my experiences with shrooms, you know, made me see that it's like so special to like be alive and be in this physical form and have experiences, you know, like that's crazy that like we're alive, like how the fuck did we get here, you know, like it's crazy, and people deserve to be able to have experiences, you know, in nature or with their family, doing what they love. Like, humans are insanely intelligent and so wonderful, and everyone deserves to have the time and the means to do what they love. And so I think shrooms has helped me. It's kind of like emphasized in my mind the need to pursue a future where everybody does have the opportunity to do what they love, you know, whatever it is.